I woke up this morning feeling pretty heavy and pretty sad, and been wondering why. This overwhelming feeling of not being protected is what came up. And I read somewhere recently that when you have the urge to cry, that you should let it wash over you because it's a cleansing ritual. Crying is something that is ready to come up to the surface and be released. Last night, I fell asleep with the TV on, and when I woke up around 3 a.m. or so, the movie Clueless had started on its own and was playing. That movie used to be my favorite movie. I used to think that Jude Rudd, is that his name? Was pretty handsome. And so that just made it even more of a crush attraction to the movie. But the entire time that I sat up to watch it, when I woke up this morning around 3 a.m., I just had a feeling of disgust. Watching the scenes just felt disgusting and wrong to me. And now I think I know why. I think it's because I don't resonate with that anymore. I think that for me, it felt predatory. So why would it feel predatory? Well, Alicia Silverstone's character, is that her name? Alicia Silverstone, her character. Well, first of all, the title of the movie itself is called Clueless. She was clueless, oblivious. She's just a child. She's only 16. And, you know, her character, the entire movie, is stamping her feet, throwing tantrums, whining. She has these sayings that, you know, are of her, you know, declaring her very, you know, bold thoughts about the world and her intolerance really for it. Very remedial perspective of the world is to reflect how clueless she is, to reflect how much she still has to learn, how small her world is, which then is indicative to how much more she has to be exposed to. And in that position, in that stage of life, at 16 years old, as a child, are you ready to be in a relationship with someone who is much older than you? Or are you ready to be directed and protected and preserved and allowed to continue exploring? The end of the movie climaxes with the three couples, the three friends, the three girlfriends and their boyfriends attending this wedding. And Paul Rudd's character tells her, hey, catch that bouquet. The guys and I have a bet that whose gal, you know, on whose gal is gonna catch that bouquet. And the bet is up to $200 in the pot now. She says it's in the bag. So her first task on her first outing, her first public appearance with the guy that she finally decides I have a crush on him, is to a wedding, a ritual ceremony that is based in the subjugation of women. And then she's put to task by her boyfriend to go and win this bet for him by participating in this ritual where we all know that if you catch the bouquet at a wedding, that means that you're next to get married. The whole movie, right, is about her not even being able to identify that a guy that she likes is gay. She's just clueless. She's like a deer in the headlights because she's a child. It's okay. It's okay that she doesn't know these things. She's a child. She'll learn. But before she even gets a chance to learn, the moral of the movie, the ending of the movie, celebrates her getting together with a guy who's inappropriately too old, and by him giving her her first task in their relationship, go secure my bag, promise yourself to me, be excited about this ritual, catch this bouquet that will signify you want to be the next one, the next bride to walk down the aisle. And sure, of course, we don't know, that it could be years and years and years that she would be the next one. But at this phase in my life, with my ability of hindsight, it was disgusting to me to watch that. I don't know, or let me just say, at that time when I was watching it last night, I didn't know why I was watching it, because I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. By now it's 4 o'clock in the morning. I need to be going back to sleep. At the time, I'm just like, I have to watch this. I feel uncomfortable, but I'm supposed to be watching this. And I wake up, hours later, and I'm just sad. And I start crying, and I let the tears come up because I'm learning now that on this healing journey, tears are just an indication that something is being cleansed, washed away. So I let the tears come up, I let the emotions bubble up, and I feel the urge to grab my phone and record words, because that's kind of how I've been journaling lately. And so as I'm talking into my phone microphone, I just start to feel angry at the fact that at such a young age for me, I basically, followed the trend of the society that I grew up around, and a crush that I had on a man, a boy, a young adult. I wanted to be his wife at that same age as Alicia Silverstone's character in the movie Clueless. I also wanted to be married. I think that I wanted to realign and reintegrate a part of me that feels lost from having committed myself to someone so early in life when it was probably mostly my soul's mission at that time to continue to play and explore in my innocence rather than someone to profess their love and commitment to me. I probably just needed someone to protect me and to protect my innocence and protect my journey and protect my soul's mission of being a free agent, a free will agent, to free to explore, free to learn myself, free to play and come to conclusions about the world and about my emotions and about my thoughts and feelings and desires and wants. Freedom to come home to myself as a human being, to remember who I am, remember why I came to this earth plane. Such individualized, selfish, self-centered ideas. These were meant to be preserved. But instead, this movie made me think about how women are objectified. We are the object of someone's desire. We are the object of someone's mission. We are the object of the hunt. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with being tapped into your primal experience, because this is a human experience we are in. But our larger purpose is to realign and come home to ourselves in this understanding of the fact that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And as a spiritual being having a human experience, I'm not subject to my primal nature. My primal nature shouldn't rule what I'm doing. I can observe it and use that data to experience being a human. But I'm not a human having a spiritual experience. What I experience as a human is the byproduct of being a spiritual being having this human suit on. And so to be the eye of someone's to be the subject of someone's desire, to be prey of someone's hunt, is a falsehood, a false representation of how to participate in connection as two humans who may have a soul contract together. And so this is what all came into my mind and became a part of the thought process that I'm sharing with you now, just from rewatching a movie that was my favorite movie when I was 14, 15, well, not 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. It was my favorite movie, and it was like, I'm going to do that. That's what I want to do. I want to be in love, and I want to get married, and I want somebody to come and rescue me and to come and see me. Come see me, see who I am, see my beauty, want me. And that's what I manifested. I manifested a life of being the object of someone's attention. And while my marriage was beautiful in a lot of ways, I have to also acknowledge that it was that it was me being objectified and me leaving my marriage also for many reasons, but one of them was me wanting to dissociate and detach from what it felt like to consistently be the object of someone's affection. I know that sounds weird, right? That it feels like it should be okay to be the object of someone's affection, to be the object of someone's desire, to be the object of someone's mission and hunt. But I don't want to be objectified. So, yeah, I mean, being objectified isn't all that is hyped up to be. And committing your life in connection with a partner isn't all that it is hyped up to be. Having sacred space is so valuable. It's so valuable that it should be hyped up just as much as grow up, get into a relationship, commit to somebody. It should be hyped up more than that. I know that as humans, we, have a reproductive system. And so a lot of our human experience, we go through hormonal changes from the time that we're born. Our body starts adjusting to this atmosphere, to this realm, to Earth, the Earth plane. And some of the major ways that we adapt, our body goes through changes. We are on a development scale and trajectory from the time that we're born. But that's why the practice of quieting your mind and regulating your system, your nervous system, and becoming the captain, the true captain, sitting on the throne as the king or queen, allowing your spirit to be the one that's primarily in charge, to be connected in your soul to where you came from, becomes the primary mission. That's all of those are so important because this human experience is so primal and natal to development, hormones, all of these changes and unstable fluctuations. That's just part of what it means to be human. So to then pin down a particular type of experience, zoom into it rather than to zoom out and be from, be an extraterrestrial being looking down on your human experience, to zoom into this one thing, my primal nature to conquer, my primal nature to see an object and zoom in on that object. It does a disservice to the bigger picture of who you are. And so while I'm grieving this morning, just, this teary cleanse is coming to help me see that I'd like to grieve that and put it aside, let it be washed away so that I can move forward with that knot in tow. It also brings up this notion that it wasn't good for either of us. For me as a woman or my partner as a man, and then broader women in general and men in general, to be tricked or manipulated into this idea that these are the ways that we are to focus our attention, to focus our attention away from and outside of our own selves and our ability to meet our needs, to rescue ourselves, to be connected to source, to be fully embodied in who we are, to know our worth and our origins and our mission and the point and the purpose, to be distracted from all of that by development and hormones and primal nature. That really feels like misleading. It feels misleading. It feels misguided. It feels misaligned, right? So, on my journey of realignment, of rebirth, of healing, of reconstitution, of remembering, it seems so natural to me that this would be something that would come up and say, boom, 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 this needs your attention. Let's wash this away so that something new can be born in its place. The timing of this is not coincidental. I have been sojourning towards this reconciliation for quite some time. And my choice ultimately to finally release being a wife, release that role, came only after my father passed away. And in this case, my father represents a covering or a cap, a top screwed onto a jar, holding the contents of this subjugation. I know I'm using these words that have negative connotations, but I really don't feel negatively towards my ex-husband or my dad. These are just systems, frameworks, and belief systems that I've outgrown that no longer serve me. And so I have to release them so that something else can come in their place. But to zone out or zoom out or become more in my spiritual body or my spiritual embodiment, my spiritual embodying, my spiritual role, connected to source, connected to me being source, connected to resources, connected to who I really and truly am, is indicative now of these realizations, of truths that I want to live by, of turning away from belief systems that have expired, belief systems that got me so far, mantras and ideas that fueled me to a distance and then stopped. And this is so significant to who I am because I am such a grower and am naturally expanding all the time, vivaciously and ferociously and speedily. And so it just becomes now this idea that, yeah, I don't desire that. I don't desire to be objectified. I desire to be in connection with soul tribe, with people in my soul tribe who are of like mind. In the same way that I did when I first met my ex-husband, I wanted to be connected with him. I could recognize that we were of tribe, of like tribe, and so I wanted to be connected with that. This isn't much different except for the core value that must resonate between who I would connect with now has to lie in selfishness, for lack of a better word, the individualization of one's existence. My responsibility to myself will be reflected in who I know I'm connected to, because they will also prioritize their responsibility to themselves. Responsibility to my desire, responsibility to my wants and needs, responsibility and ownership to my purpose and destiny and my soul's pledge, and not to center someone else in my story, that I am the main character in my story, that I directly am the deliberate creator of my reality, that everything starts and stops with me, that no one is coming to rescue me. No one needs to come and rescue me, that I can rescue myself, that I can be the object of my own affection, that I don't have to lie down and be anyone else's objectification. Some of the reasons why this is important, I think, tie directly to freedom. And freedom is a funny and tricky thing where if it is the tree trunk, then the branches and the blooms are an extension of said freedom. So wholeness, healing is a branch. Exploration is a branch. These are all like antenna that send out a signal to the universe that help to bring in what it is that you want and need to have the type of plentiful human experience that you set out to have when you came here. It all starts, in my opinion, with the stealthy healthiness of a rooted tree made out of freedom. Why is it that freedom is under such attack generally? When we look at the history of humanity, one of the most infiltrated systems is a person's individual freedom to move and be and think. Confirmation ding. To move and be and think freely has always been an original attack. To not be a free person, to not feel free, to not know that you are free, to not understand the depths of one's freedom, takes you completely out of the human experience. Takes you completely out of the triune experience, meaning spirit, soul, body, and therefore leaves you vulnerable, in such a vulnerable state that you could be completely captured by anything, any system, any person, and captured or made a slave to any system, any person, now completely segues your experience. The whole reason why you are even here. You may as well then be a lump on a log. You may as well be as dead as a doorknob. You may as well be an inanimate object because you're no longer human and you're no longer connected to your spirit and soul. When you are a captive, when you aren't free, you're not a person. And isn't the whole point for us to be a person? Isn't that the whole point? So now we get into a bigger picture, which I'm going to end this video. So I'm not going to go deep as I want to, but I do want to continue having these conversations, because isn't the whole point to be a full, realized, triune being? Isn't that the whole point? To be fully myself, to be fully known. And how can I be fully known if I am not fully known? Ding, confirmation ding again. How can I be fully known and protrude outward, send those signals of myself? I am. The energy of me walking around is known by everything that I come in contact with, because what I send out is who I am. How can I do that if I don't know who I am? And if I don't know who I am, rewind, part of not knowing who I am is not being allowed to explore and find and develop and test and market and be and change and be and develop. Who has the ability and practice to do all of that exploring and defining and becoming if you're captive? And what I want to say in this particular video, because I'll continue to explore these thoughts on my channel, but what I want to say is to be objectified is synonymous with being captive. Yeah, I think that's what I think. I think that's what I think. I want to explore this some more. So if you are interested in what I'm discussing, stay tuned. Like, share, and subscribe, and come back, to see what else I want to explore and what else I want to talk about as it relates to this, because this is me exploring how I feel, exploring what I think, allowing my emotions to lead me to thought processing like this that is freeing me up, freeing me to realign with who I really am, freeing me to remember who I really am and why I came here, freeing me to reconnect with such strong and potent feelings in my gut around healing myself and 7 generations before me and 7 generations after me. The strong sense of legacy that I want to leave, the footprint and imprint that I want to inspire, the trails that I wish to blaze. I am reconstituting, reestablishing, refortifying, rebuilding, rebirthing, and giving myself a chance, the chance that I didn't have before when I was growing up, to develop my own mind, to be free in the renewing of my mind. So if this sounds like anything remotely at all that you're interested to follow and listen about or listen to, yeah, join me. Subscribe to my channel, like, share, and leave me a comment, engage with me, and stick around for a little bit so we can see where this goes. I got a lot of things that I want to jot down. And so on this channel, I'll be visually jotting them down. Thanks for watching.